All right, welcome everybody to October on Rock Video Rental. I'm Caleb, and with me as always is Brandon. And to take a quick moment here at the beginning, and we might mention some more about it at the end, October is going to be a big month for us because if you haven't seen our advertisements about it, our announcements about it, we are going to have 13 episodes dedicated to the Friday the 13th franchise, and that will be starting next week, and there will be a new episode coming out every single weekday, so be on the lookout for that. We're actually going to do a little design competition between Brandon and myself, and we'll talk about that more later, maybe at the end of the episode. But then I thought there was something more with it, but I think that was... Oh, no, I also wanted to mention, don't forget, because we never talk about it, but we have a Redbubble.
And a TeePublic.
Yes. Are they both by the same name?
Yeah, they're both under Rock Video Rental.
Okay. Yeah, Rock Apparel and things like that. So I didn't know if one had a different name. So we never mentioned that. So I wanted to remember that this week. But... Brandon, what have you been watching?
Oh, I watched the newest Invisible Man movie that came out right before the whole pandemic hit. I didn't really know what to expect with it, and it was pretty good. The acting was really solid in it, and they took like the original Universal Invisible Man and put like a new twist on it where it's not like a science experiment gone wrong. It's like this millionaire creates a suit that you can wear that's like covered in a whole bunch of camera lenses that makes you invisible. And like he fakes his death and he goes after like his ex-girlfriend and tries to kill her and like ruin her life.
What in the world?
Dude, it's really intense.
So wait, so is that the reason why the reason he made it was to go after his ex-girlfriend? Or he was making it and then he decided to use it for his own use?
Yeah, the latter.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on HBO Max. So, it's I think it's a little over 2 hours. It's like 2 hours and 5 minutes. Yeah, definitely check it out. It's really interesting and suspenseful. It's not necessarily like scary, but there's a lot of intense moments in it.
Okay.
It's more of like a thriller than a straight up horror movie.
Yeah, that's kind of what I took away from some of the previews I saw.
Yeah. Another thing, we've been still watching The Office. I mean, there's nothing new there. We've also been watching 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days. We went on to another season of that. It's funny just like watching these people because they're nuts. A lot of them. And then the last thing we watched is we watched this new like documentary, like true crime documentary on Netflix that people have been talking about. It is called American Murder: The Family Next Door. And it's about this family in Colorado where the wife and the two little girls go missing, and it's like just the husband left, so he like obviously gets questioned. And I'm not going to give anything away on it, but it's pretty nuts, and it makes you feel like crap afterwards.
Oh my gosh.
Because I said to my wife, I'm like, that made me feel bad. Like, let's watch The Office to come back from that.
You need a rebound show after that.
Yeah, we were both like just talking about it afterwards, and I was just like, yeah, it just sticks with you.
Yeah.
So, if you're into like the true crime stuff, check it out. But just be warned, it's gonna make you feel like crap.
All right, good to know.
But what have you been watching?
Well, it's I won't bore people with sports, the college football, NFL, NBA going on. but I have still been going through Brooklyn Nine-Nine, watching that more often than I was before and really enjoying that. But after last week's episode, I felt like I had to redeem myself. So I watched a rock movie.
Okay, what'd you watch?
I watched Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, how was it?
It was pretty good. It's actually really funny because I have to bring this up. I kind of got a little annoyed with it because it was so over the top. And I was just
Like
like,
Stallone in '87.
exactly. But that was the weird thing where I think it's the special effects and the CGI that make it a little bit that annoy me, because when they were doing it, in the 80s, they didn't have all that, technology and things like that. They had to make it with real special effects.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like maybe I just appreciate that more.
Yeah, well, I mean, physical special effects are always better.
Yeah. But
Always.
also, too, I think something that is distinctly different between action movies now compared to back then is that it was way over the top. Like back then, I feel like, okay, they would do a couple things where you're just like, that's crazy. That would never happen. This was over and over and over again. And I was like, okay, come on. You gotta bring us a little bit into reality. So, but it was a good movie. I would probably say out of all the rock movies that I've seen, that was the best one. It was a long one. A little bit bothered by a few plot holes, but when it's an action movie, they're definitely not focused on the depth of the movie. So,
Right.
but yeah, that was most of it. Because Hobbs and Shaw was so long, I had to spread it out over 2 nights. So,
Man. For
uh,
an action movie.
yeah. And then I guess the other thing that I kind of started watching a little bit, because it actually just came to Netflix and my wife was looking for something new to watch, is the Joey Tribbiani show, Man with a Plan.
Okay.
So it's okay. I mean, it's your basic sitcom, slapstick comedy, whatever. So it's not a direct Friends knockoff or anything like that. I don't know what I
Yeah,
would.
it just has Matt LeBlanc in it.
Yeah, I feel like it would be more closely related to oh man, what is it, Man of the House, or with why can I not think of his name?
You thinking that
Handyman.
Tim Allen show?
Thank you, Tim Allen. Wow.
Last Man Standing, is that what it's
Last
called?
Man Standing. There we go.
Yeah, Man of the House was a movie with Chevy Chase and Jonathan Taylor Thomas. I think.
Well, it's all, they all have the same play on what they're getting at. Is I was in the same ballpark. So
No,
I'll
Man of the House is there's a couple movies. So there's the one with Jonathan Taylor Thomas, and then there is one with Tommy Lee Jones, where
Okay.
he is living in a house with 5 cheerleaders.
Oh yeah, he was like witness protection or something.
Yeah. I've never seen that one, but I can say that Man of the House with Chevy Chase and Jonathan Taylor Thomas is pretty decent.
Yeah, I think I've seen a little bit of both those movies. I don't think I saw either or one of them all the way through.
Yeah, I watched Man of the House on Disney Plus like shortly after Disney Plus came around.
Nice. Well, not to get too far into that conversation, I guess we should jump over to everybody's favorites. Did you know? And did you know that we are in October? So that means basically everything we're going to be doing is going to have a Halloween / horror theme to it. So, Brandon, your Did You Know better be awesome.
my did you know is like kind of a little um, snippet here for Craig because I know it's one of his favorite candies. And it's a candy that many people hate, and that's candy corn. Did
Hey,
you know that candy corn was originally called chicken feed?
that seems very appropriate.
Because back when it came out, the main thing that you fed chickens, I guess still now, is corn. So instead of just calling it candy corn, they for some reason called it chicken feed.
Nice. Well, I thought the did you know was going to be did you know that candy corn is just wax?
I like candy corn.
You are a disgusting human being.
It originated with the Wonderly Candy Company in 1888.
And they made so much back then that they've never had to make anymore, and we're just eating 100-year-old candy.
And following the 19th century, the Golitz Confectionery Company, which is now called Jelly Belly, manufactured the product.
Jelly belly.
So yeah, either
All right.
candy corn, either hate it or love it. I feel like
Yes.
there's no in between. And I
No,
like it a lot.
there is no in between.
I also like Peeps that a lot of people hate. So there's that.
Peeps I don't feel like are as controversial, or not controversial, but polar opposites,
Yeah,
reaction.
polarizing.
Yeah. But candy corn I have a firm stance on, so
You suck.
whatever. You're the idiot.
I'm
Anyways,
just gonna kick you off the podcast, and Craig and I are gonna talk about our love for candy corn.
yes, fine. You guys can do that. You guys can have your candy corn episode, and we will let you guys have an hour-long episode to talk about anything and everything with candy corn, and I will gladly throw that in the month of October and take a week off.
Sounds like a plan.
I'm going to text him right now. Craig. Anyways. All right. Well, as you guessed it, we're going to have a Halloween themed topic. So let's not waste any more time and jump on over to the main topic. All right. So Halloween will be here before you know it because it's already the beginning of October, which to me is insane.
29 more days till Halloween.
Yeah.
Halloween. Silver Shamrock.
Oh my word, yes. Oh, we're so gonna put that song at the end here. Yeah, so we're just gonna talk about kind of a general discussion and everything. I think we did a little bit of this last year, but we actually came across some interesting information that I kind of spoiled, and I feel bad that I didn't get to save it until now for an instant honest reaction from Brandon. But we're going to start this conversation with some origins of Halloween, and Brandon has that information. So what do you got?
There's a lot of kind of talk, arguments, I guess, trying to figure out like where Halloween really like originated, but many believe that it originated in Scotland and Ireland with the Festival of Samhain, which I mentioned a little bit of the Silver Shamrock theme there from Halloween 3. And if you remember in that movie, Conal
Stonehenge?
Cochran, yeah, Stonehenge, his plan was to take the holiday of Halloween back to the Festival of Samhain. But he mentioned sacrificial origins. But anything that I found about the Festival of Samhain really wasn't anything about that. It was more of like a celebration of harvest time. They would do things like bonfires to ward off evil spirits. The whole jack-o'-lantern thing came into play, where they would actually carve turnips into face lanterns,
Mm-hmm.
which I think we mentioned that last year.
Yeah,
Did you know?
I think so.
And then as the years went on, it's kind of evolved into what we have now. The whole trick-or-treating thing started with something called souling, which sounds really weird, but basically what it is kids would go around begging for soul cake. And soul cake was like this little pastry, like almost kind of like a hostess pie or something like that, that was like just had spices in it.
Hmm.
So that's kind of where that came off. People dress up for it. Uh,
So
I've
is it
heard
like a glorified what was it, the Hay Festival or Beat Festival from The Office?
Heyday.
Heyday. A glorified
uh,
heyday.
I think that's what Dwight called it. I just watched that one not too long ago. Uh, where he calls himself Hey King.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple beginnings. And everything's just, like any other holiday, things just kind of evolved into what it's become now. Elaborate costumes, haunted houses, things like that.
A night that was fully intended from the beginning for guys to get crazy and to do stupid pranks, everybody to get intoxicated, and women to wear skimpy clothes.
Well, that's definitely what the Festival of Samhain was.
And that's
Not really.
was all the same from the very beginning.
Uh,
All right. Was that everything yet?
yeah, pretty much. A lot of people thought it had like pagan roots, but there's really no like true facts with that. I know like a lot of. I remember as a kid, some religious groups in the area would always say, like Halloween is like an evil holiday where you dress up like demons and worship the devil, and none of that's true. That's kind of taking some things and twisting them to make a point, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
anything I saw, it was more like just a celebration of harvest time.
yeah. I mean, there are definitely those individuals and groups who take the opportunity during that time to do some sketchy stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't think that the holiday has anything to do with that. So,
Yeah, I mean, because the next day is, it's the day after Halloween is my birthday, but it's also All Souls Day or All Saints Day, which is a a Christian quote unquote holiday. Nobody really like celebrates it, but it's just, you know, way back in the day that was something that they celebrated.
oh, nice birthday drop there.
I
Everybody
had
got to wish Brandon a happy birthday now.
I had to. And then, the day before Halloween is Mischief Night, aka, Devil's Night, also known as, where, there's history of vandalism and just kind of uh, riots and things like that. I know there was a big deal with that in Detroit back in like the 60s and 70s, I believe.
Hmm.
That's where the Devil's Night thing came in,
All those hooligans.
which I'm not sure that really even exists anymore.
Yeah, no, I remember there was one year, I can't remember when it was, where a bunch of stuff kind of happened, and I wouldn't even say our area, but the region, and they blamed it on that night. But it was like one time, and it wasn't even really that bad. So, but anyways, well, to then before we kind of dive into just some other random topics that we have around the holiday and everything, we will both discuss our own personal experiences kind of with the holiday. I mean, obviously not go through and talk about every single year with it, but
Well, when I was 3,
I remember I went out with John and my other friend Bill. No. So I think I'll let you go first, Brandon, and kind of
Mhm.
just your general, you know, what you guys did and just experiences with anything trick or treating or costume parties or anything really, just a little bit of any highlights that you had from the holiday.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, it was always a big deal in school. for Halloween because you'd have a Halloween party in
Mm-hmm.
your classroom, and it'd be things like they'd be playing Monster Mash on the radio, and you'd have like apple cider and cookies and all that kind of stuff, and everybody would like the teachers would give you candy or something like that. Everybody wears their costumes, you know. And with my school, we would do like this parade thing when you're in elementary school, and you would kind of just go down the main street and down by the businesses and come back to the school. It was maybe like 2 block walk or something like that, and all the kids in school would do it. So you got to see like everybody's costumes and all that kind of stuff. That was always fun.
Nice.
Outside of school, like we would. Uh, my brother is like 4 years older than me, so like a lot of the times I don't really remember him too much going trick or treating with me because really by the time I was old enough to remember too much, it was basically just me and a couple of my cousins. We
Mm-hmm.
would go. I grew up in a thumb, so there's a lot of little small towns, and we would go to my aunt and uncle's house, and my mom and my aunt would take me and my cousins around where my aunt lived at because she like knew everybody in the area. They had a farm, so all farmers know each other. And you go in the middle of nowhere like that, and you always get lots of candy because they didn't get as many kids as people in town do.
Oh yeah.
And I just remember having like a huge bag of it when I got home. Uh, I don't know, some of the costumes I remember having. I dressed up like a dinosaur one time in like early elementary school. And I remember just like I reused that costume the next year and said I was Godzilla. So I'd like to hear if Craig ever dressed like Godzilla.
Nice.
Because that's how much I loved Godzilla back in the day. Surprisingly, through the whole time, I was never a Ninja Turtle. I don't know how that I managed that,
Wow.
but I remember another costume. I was a hockey player. I was the Grim Reaper. I had like the hood thing, that kind of like conceals your face.
Mm-hmm.
But wearing that out at night trick or treating was kind of difficult to see through. So I kind of just like changed my costume a little bit to be the Undertaker, which that was my dad's idea because back then I don't even think I watched wrestling. Like my dad used to watch it, and I used to get annoyed because he'd watch it on Saturdays, and that meant like cartoons were done on Saturday morning.
Nice.
But yeah, I was the Undertaker that one time. And then I kind of got to the point where I was old enough that I didn't really go out and do that kind of stuff. And all my cousins are older than me. Like I was the youngest one. Like
Mm-hmm.
my cousin Mike is only like 6 months older than me, but so we kind of just stopped going. And then I would go with my mom uptown, and she had friends, and like her friends had kids that were my age, and we would just like go get pizza that night. And then sometimes we'd end up just walking around town.
Ah, the
Uh,
small town vibe.
yeah, no costumes, anything like that. Um, yeah, it's definitely so small town. You wouldn't be able to walk around town by yourself as kids now,
Mm.
even really in a small town.
Yeah.
And just got to mention too, a lot of times when we went trick or treating, uh, out in the middle of nowhere, like my aunt would drive a pickup truck, and we'd all sit in the back of it.
Oh, nice.
And like, probably couldn't do that now. But yeah, I mean, I guess from there, I went to college, and then college Halloween parties are a bit different, where you're just drinking and having a good time all the time.
A
So
little bit different.
yeah, a lot of times we would have combine like a Halloween party and my birthday party, and then people come wearing costumes and stuff. And a couple that I remember, I dressed like Brett Michaels one time when like Rock of Love was a big deal. And like I'm really into 80s hair bands, so it wasn't really too surprising. And then another time, I dressed like Wayne from Wayne's World, so that was pretty fun too. I think that might have been one of the last times I dressed up. And now it's just like I'm married, have kids, so it's all about with the kids. But
Mhm.
last year, my daughter dressed up like Elmo, and we just went to my wife's parents' house and like to her grandma's house, and that was pretty much it. This year it'll be a little bit different because she's old enough now. She's 2, so she can kind of walk by herself, and we might take her around the neighborhood to a couple of neighbors.
Rock. Yeah, I was kind of wondering if that was going to be this year or next for you.
Yeah,
So.
we got her costume and everything, and she's all excited when she puts it on. So it'll be a good time.
Hmm.
So, what about you? I know you have a quite different history with Halloween traditions and stuff.
Yeah, see, so here's the truth bomb coming up that I really, because I swore that like we had talked about this before and I spilled it, like a week or two ago, and I was really disappointed that I kind of ruined the moment. So here is the scary truth about me with Halloween is I have never gone trick-or-treating once in my entire life.
Everybody's like, "What?" at the same time.
I
You
know.
probably did tell me that, and I just forgot.
Yeah, you never really listen to me when I talk anyways.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
So let me kind of explain a little bit of how this went. So my mom has never been too much of a fan of the holiday. I mean, she's never really like been like those groups that you've talked about.
Yeah.
That's so anti-Halloween. But like here's a little bit different perspective. My grandfather was a minister.
Hmm.
So I mean, her experience too was completely different. So she just didn't really prioritize it and we didn't really do much with it. And I mean, we went to like Halloween parties as kids. I mean, as you mentioned in school, like there was some stuff you would dress up. We would do things like that, but the actual act of going out and doing trick or treating, we never did. And so, a couple of things that I remember, and part of it maybe too was just circumstantial because, circumstances. Sorry, not circumstantial. But the when we were in our prime age for trick or treating, we lived in a weird spot in town where we were off the main road, one of the main roads in town, and we were a court, so a very short road with
Hmm.
just a few houses. And it wasn't like no one did trick or treating really. Like we always had our light on. We had candy for anybody who came. Like every year we would only have like one or two people because everybody would take their kids somewhere else where you could go and you could walk several miles
Yeah.
and get a good amount of candy. And so the thing was we would just stay there and then any candy that was left over, my brother and I got. So we always thought it was awesome where we don't have to go out. We don't have to do anything. We can hang out, watch movies. And then at the end of the night, we get all the leftover candy. And then after that, when we moved from there, we may have been still at the trick or treating age, but then we moved out of town,
Hmm.
like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So unless you have a group to do it with, it's not exactly something that I, even as a kid, felt motivated to do out in the middle of nowhere. So, but as I mentioned, I mean, I did some of the stuff like we went to some Halloween parties and things like that. Nothing elaborate. I don't know. I never really personally got into it myself. Like I did such generic costumes. I never really was like, oh, hey, mom, I want to go to the costume store and get, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Power Ranger or anything. I
Hmm.
just was okay with doing a cowboy, a pirate, a ninja. I was a pretty boring kid apparently. So yeah, that was like most of my childhood was just doing stuff like that. Like I still went to, as I said, like some of the costume parties and things like that, but they're the main things you think of with Halloween as a kid, I didn't really do myself. And then when I got older, I went to a couple Halloween parties, not very many, and they were kind of more of the low key parties where you'd have maybe like half and half, where it's like half of the people were um, into it enough to get dressed up, and then the other half were just kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
So yeah, Halloween as a whole for a holiday really was not a lot for me. I mean, it just, I don't know. Like even when I was in college, when kind of I feel like is the prime time where you could easily do whatever you want, go to any of the events you want. I mean, they have all the haunted events and then the parties and things like that. I was just like, I don't know. I wasn't really drawn to it. I really like the idea of trying to go overboard at some point and like doing like a really sweet costume and things like that. But
Hmm.
every time it got to mid-October, I didn't have anything planned or in mind, and I just like tossed in the towel before I even started.
Right.
So, but yeah, that was my short, lame definition of experience with that. So,
I know. I'm sure you carve jack-o'-lanterns and things like that, right?
oh yeah, like yeah, that was like we did some of those out with just our family. We did some of those at like the Halloween parties and things like that.
Hmm.
I mean some of the classic games too, like bobbing for apples or what was it like? Wasn't it eating? Oh, the donut on a string
Yeah,
game.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
You can't use your hands.
yeah. And then we would go to pumpkin patches too. We didn't do it all the time. But that is something that my wife loves to do. So since
Hmm.
we've been married, we always do pumpkin patch stuff. So
Yeah, and cider mills and things like that.
yeah,
Orchards. Yeah,
make your own
those are
cider.
always so packed, though.
Oh yeah. Well, what was it? Oh yeah, at my last job, we had every other Friday off. We had like a flex schedule.
Hmm.
And so every year, I mean, I worked there for 5 years. So every year in late October, we would do that on a Friday during the day. So
Nice.
that was nice to not have to deal with a ton of people during that time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so that's kind of a little bit of what happened for both of us, our totally different experiences. So, one thing though that I feel is a little funny, worth mentioning, is when I was in college, somebody told me that I really should have dressed up as Brock Sampson from Venture Brothers for Halloween.
Okay.
So I always just thought that was kind of funny. People said that a couple people said that, but the most common thing that people always told me that if I ever really like went all out for dress up was for a costume would have been Wolverine. So
You dressed up like the Paul Bunyan trophy that one time at
oh
work.
yes, yep. Again, see, like totally simple and totally like I mean, honestly, when you think about it, rather lame. All it was is like jeans, a flannel shirt, and a stocking cap.
You're basically like Jim Halpert.
Basically,
He just
yes.
had the name tag. It says Dave.
Yep. Three hole punch, Jim. Yeah,
Book
Jim was
face.
totally my vibe for
Oh
Halloween.
gosh. I guess that's one thing we could talk about is TV shows having Halloween specials.
Yeah.
That didn't really come along until like the late 80s where Roseanne was like the first one to do it. And
Oh,
I remember like every season, after they had the first one, they would have a Halloween special, and they're always pretty funny and pretty good. They always had like crazy costumes, and they'd decorate the house up and have like a haunted house and things like that.
mhm. Well,
Uh,
then what's a little funny too is Brooklyn Nine-Nine makes a big deal out of it because that's the night they always do their heist.
yeah,
So it's not like really a Halloween theme, but they, for whatever reason, they always did it on Halloween night. So,
I know another show that would always go really far with it was Home Improvement,
mm,
and Tim always had like some big thing that he made. Of course, it would fail and either blow up or burn down or something like that. Uh, all the crazy stuff he used to make. I mean, just like every other episode.
yeah,
But everything, they always went all out for Halloween.
mhm.
Um, there's a few other ones too, I guess I could think of. Uh, the Goldbergs, a show I mentioned quite a bit. They always have a good Halloween episode.
Yeah,
They actually had Robert Englund in it, like as Freddy Krueger in one of them. Like I think it was like 2 years ago. So
That's
like,
fun.
he played the Freddy Krueger character again just for that episode. And it was pretty good. Um,
Of course, The Office, as you already mentioned.
yeah, the Office always had good ones. Um, Regular Show always had good Halloween episodes. They'd always have like the characters telling scary stories. And then you got like your Halloween specials. You know, there was like a Garfield one, which Josh said was terrifying. uh, which was, basically Garfield and Odie going to like a haunted house. And like there's ghosts coming after him and everything. Um, and then, of course, the one that almost everybody's seen is the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Yeah, I was gonna say you better be mentioning that one.
That's a classic. Along with that, there's a movie that's become like a huge deal with people in our age, and that's Hocus Pocus. I remember watching that as a kid and thinking like, oh, that wasn't bad, and then now it just seems like in the last 5 years, people are obsessed with that movie.
Okay, hold on. Wait. So do we have to have this conversation too? Because you posted that thing on, settle the debate, Hocus Pocus or A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that I have seen neither of those movies.
You really should, because I mean Hocus Pocus it's a good family movie. If you got Disney Plus, you watch it with your kids.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I that's just the thing. It's like I've not purposely avoided it, but I've just never kind of like horror movies. I've not purposely avoided horror movies. Sure, we never had them in our house, but it's just like I've had ample opportunities to watch them whenever and however much I wanted to, but I just never prioritized it. And so that's the same thing with those two movies, Hocus Pocus and A Nightmare Before Christmas. Never really thought about them a whole lot.
Yeah.
So I'm just a terrible person to be discussing Halloween with.
So yeah, you're much more of a Christmas guy.
Yeah.
You got like more traditions and stuff for Christmas, I guess. Uh, I guess I don't have like too many like traditions for Halloween other than my blog I have where I review horror movies in October.
Oh yeah, that's worth mentioning.
Yeah, if you guys want to check it out, it's 31horrormovies.wordpress.com. I just, every day in October, I review one movie. Sometimes I do like top 10 lists and things like that too, but I think this year is going to be all movie reviews again.
Rock.
But yeah, really, other than those and doing something with my daughter for Halloween, my wife always likes to watch Hocus Pocus and she likes to watch Casper's another one. Um, and every Halloween, I like to watch Halloween, which we're going to be reviewing later in a month. So,
yep, get ready for that.
yeah, and you've never seen it, so that'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one I can remember. The first time I watched that movie was a like sleepover party I had when I was in like fifth grade, I think, and that was when I really started getting into horror movies. And it was me, my friend Anthony, and my friend Tom, and my mom like went to Walmart or something like that and bought a couple horror movies, and she came back with the original Halloween, and we watched it. And I remember the first time I watched it, I didn't really like it, but we were really into like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer back then, and Halloween was a little slow compared to those, but now that I go back and watch those, like Halloween's way better. So it's just kind of funny how things change. But yeah, I mean that's a typical like Halloween night for us, I guess. We watch Hocus Pocus, I watch Halloween, so pretty much
Nice.
it.
Yeah, I think the most tradition-esque thing for us is pumpkin patches and pumpkin spice coffee. Yep. Oh, and of course apple cider, but that's kind of wrapped into pumpkin patches. So
Yeah, and lots of candy corn.
no, no. Speaking of which, though, okay, so you like candy corn because you're a psychopath. But what is your favorite? What was your favorite candy for Halloween? I mean, it can still be your favorite candy, but trick or treating, I can't say this from personal experience. But what was your favorite candy to get?
Oh, Reese's peanut butter cups.
Oh yeah.
For sure. Anytime I got any of those, it was always like, yes. The worst one?
Yeah.
The worst one was Good and Plenty. Who
Oh
likes that crap? Black licorice covered in like a gritty, like pink or white wax. It's terrible.
yeah. The stuff that I remember that I got in between either like the Halloween parties or like the candy that we had left over. Favorite, definitely the Reese's cups. But the least favorite was which is funny because I like it now, but anything that was dark chocolate.
Yeah, I always hated dark chocolate too, but it's kind of grown on me once I got older.
Yeah, I don't know why that is, but yeah, I did not like that as a kid. Now, a weird question too that I have is why were popcorn balls so popular?
I don't know.
I feel like that's just like a really random thing. Like I get caramel covered apples and things like that, cider donuts. The popcorn balls, I was just like, where did they even come from?
And they're hard to eat and they like
Yeah.
crumble all over you and they're really not even that great.
No, I feel like it was a cheap cop out for some people.
It's like kettle corn but in a ball.
Yeah, but kettle corn by itself is not bad. But
Yeah,
yeah,
kettle corn's
anyways.
good. Yeah, I agree with you there. Um, it's funny we both mentioned Reese's, and I'm gonna take this time to say it's Reese's, not Reese's, because I hate when people say Reese's. It drives me insane.
It's really funny because sometimes I overthink it. Like I'm like, oh
Ah,
wait, am I saying it right? I know what's right, but then when I think about everybody hating when it's said wrong, then I'm like, am I gonna say it right?
yeah, Reese's drives me nuts because like it's a dude's name. His last name is Reese that created it. So it's his peanut butter cup, so it's Reese's. And then and if you're one of those people that says Reese's Pieces, then you're changing an actual word to rhyme with the name that you're screwing up, so you're just stupid twice.
Reese's Pieces.
Yeah, Reese's Pieces. Ugh.
The that actually, I mean, you never really got those. Did you ever get the pieces?
Very seldom.
Yeah, those are actually, I think, my favorite of the um Reese's variations.
Nice. I like the Reese's sticks. I think are probably my favorite.
Oh,
But the
those are good.
wafers. Yeah.
Those were never around when we were kids, though.
No, that's something they created in the last maybe like 10 years or something.
Yeah. Now, a couple other questions here. Then, did you have? I know you mentioned some of them, but did you have a favorite costume?
Oh, favorite costume I ever had. I'd say as a kid, um, my favorite costume as a kid was probably the time I was the Grim Reaper because I was
Okay.
really into that. Like, I was so excited for it. I was maybe like in fourth grade. And then as an adult, I'd say at the time I was Wayne from Wayne's World.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a good time. Disappointing though that I didn't have a Garth with me. I was just a token Wayne.
Looking for your Garth.
Yeah, and actually, my buddy that went to the party with me dressed up like Jack Sparrow, so we were kind of like the odd couple.
Nice. Yeah, I don't really have one that really stuck out to me. Um, I think maybe one of the more elaborate ones was in college when I went as kind of Jack Sparrow type Pirates of the Caribbean thing. That
You know
was
what my
more of an
favorite
elaborate
costume
one.
of yours was?
What?
You know what my favorite costume of yours was?
Zivich?
Yes. Nobody is gonna understand that.
No, in college, and it would have been a little bit more appropriate if it was around how I don't even remember when it was,
It was
but
just a random day.
it was just a random day. I don't even know why I did it. There was a professor in college that had a very distinct way he dressed, and he had a beard like me, but he was older, so he had white hair. So I found some stuff at a thrift store and dressed like him one day and colored my hair white. And he didn't realize it until somebody talked to him a couple weeks later what it was, because he thought I was doing something for the theater department.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, that was definitely as far as costumes go, that was definitely the best costume I ever had, but it wasn't for Halloween. So
Oh gosh.
so now I got a couple questions on like activities and just the weird things that sometimes people do around Halloween. Some of them weird, some of them not weird. But do you ever do haunted houses?
Um, Gosh, I think I went to a couple.
Okay.
I'm not really big into haunted houses, which always surprises people because I'm so into horror movies.
Uh-huh.
And I always say, like a horror movie, you can sit there and watch it and you can really get into it and it'll be suspenseful and it might creep you out. But when you go to like a haunted house, you get startled. I
Mhm.
don't like being startled. It pisses me off.
Well,
Someone jumps out and tries to scare me. Like a lot of times my first reaction is to like attack whatever's coming after me.
nice.
So I'm always afraid I'm gonna like punch somebody.
Yeah. Well, like part of the purpose of a haunted house is to make you uncomfortable, whether it's scared uncomfortable or like the uncomfortable of somebody in your space kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not a fan of that either. I've never done it, but it's kind of funny that you say that about the difference in you liking horror movies and not liking the idea of haunted houses.
Mhm.
I think it was Alfred Hitchcock, or maybe it was another well-known, he wasn't a horror director, but somebody in that realm. And they talked about why do people like horror movies or scary
Mhm.
movies. And they talked about, I need to look it up, and it'd be kind of an interesting conversation. Maybe we'll have to bring it up in our final Friday the 13th episode, or the Halloween one, maybe. But they talked about these psychology behind the ability and enjoyment being scared when you know you're safe.
Mhm.
Like you are watching this when you're in your house. You are doing this, in a safe environment, or you feel okay to be put in this situation. When you go into a haunted house, that's a completely different thing because you're not in your element, and like you don't necessarily feel safe during the activity. So it could be kind of like an interesting topic to look up or something.
Yeah.
So haunted house. Yeah, I never did a haunted house. My wife Kristen did a couple. She did not like them. It was more people wanted to take her because they know she would freak out. So, um, have you ever gone to a graveyard at night?
No, I never have.
Okay, neither have I. I did a photography project at a graveyard early in the morning, but I never went to a graveyard at night. So,
Hmm.
um. Have you ever played Bloody Mary?
I think so. Maybe in junior high.
Okay. That was never something that I did. I didn't really hear about it until I think I was like in high school, and I was like, what is that even about? So, um, then have you ever used the Ouija board?
No.
Okay. Neither have I don't even, wow, I don't even know if I've actually seen, like, I've seen them for sale at a store, but I don't think I've ever seen one like anyone owning one.
Yeah, I don't think I have either.
Hmm. Um, do do do. Would you ever do a challenge, one of those challenges on how long you could stay in a coffin?
No. Pretty
How about
emphatic no.
no? Yeah, that I would be the same. No thanks. I'm not claustrophobic, but I have in I don't know how I want to say this. In safety situations, I lose a lot of my trust and faith in the common human being. So
I
my
hate
thought
the common human being, so yeah, I'm right there with you.
so my thought would be like, yeah, all my friends would lock me in here and leave me and I
I
would
think
die.
it's funny.
Yeah. Um so we're on the same page for that. Uh do you believe in ghosts?
Um, yeah, but I don't think they're like the Hollywood, you know, floating, Casper style ghost. Um, I feel like a ghost is more like a presence,
Okay.
somebody's presence. Um,
So more of a spirit thing rather than a ghost?
yes,
Okay.
a specter more than a ghost, maybe a poltergeist.
Okay.
And those ghost hunter shows, yeah, those are all crap.
I'm kind of right there with you as far as like the cliche, what people think of as ghosts. Yeah, definitely don't believe it, but I do. I mean, like I have a belief in like spiritual things and whatnot, and so as far as that kind of goes, there's I don't know. I think you were kind of in that too, where there's kind of like a gray area,
Hmm.
that there's something there. But yeah, as
The
far as
upside down.
the upside down. um, oh man, I was trying to think of something else but from that, but yeah, as far as the typical ghost type thing, no, I don't believe in that. So, um, did you have any other questions or things to discuss before I go into kind of like a little did you know spree here at the end?
Um, well, since we're talking about ghosts, do you believe in aliens?
Ooh, man. Um, do I believe in little green men? No. Like
Yeah.
Martians? No. Do I believe that they're out there somewhere? There is something alive. Um, I do. I really feel like there. I mean, it's the universe for crying out loud. We've seen and discussed, like science has proven how huge it is. I am led to believe that somewhere out there there's something. Do I
I
believe
feel
that
like
there?
I feel like it's foolish to think that we're the only living beings.
Yeah,
To believe that for how big the universe is.
yeah. That in this scale of the universe, that there's one single planet that has the capability of sustaining life, and we're on it. Yeah. No, then from the standpoint of aliens, like, do I think they're flying around in UFOs? Like, I mean, maybe some of them are smart enough to do something like that. But I mean, just from the standpoint of, do you believe that there's life out there? Yes. So,
I don't even know if they're in our solar system. They're probably in another solar system.
well, even if they're smart enough to travel through different solar systems, if they came and even got remotely close to us, they probably saw how stupid we were and just kept driving.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anything else?
I don't think so.
All
That's
right.
what I got. Throw some facts at me.
All right, so here's some
Drill me.
random little things for you. So, did you know that 2020 is special because Halloween is going to feature a full moon? It's the first time since 2001.
Awesome. I won't have to buy a costume because I'll just turn into a werewolf instead.
Ah. Do you believe in the Loch Ness monster?
No.
Okay. I want to, but
Yeah, I want to as well.
yeah. And totally curveball. Do you believe in Bigfoot?
No.
Okay. I think that maybe at some point somewhere there was some creature thing that was maybe like a large ape, or maybe there was like a wild man thing, but I don't believe there is a species of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So, anyways, all right, back on track. What country would you like to venture a guess on what country had the first written account of kids using the phrase trick or treat?
Canada?
Hey,
Ah, I was
look
right.
at you. Ding, 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 ding.
I
Oh,
totally
Canada.
guessed.
That was a pretty good guess. Yes. Oh shoot, I've missed when that was written down. I forgot the date on that. But trick or treating as we know it, the act of going around and asking for candy, really kind of started and kicked off in the 1930s. So probably looked a little bit different, but the general idea was there. Would you like to venture a guess on what country holds the record for the world's heaviest pumpkin?
Germany?
You're in the right region. It was
Austria?
Switzerland.
Oh.
In 2014, it weighed 2,378 pounds.
Dang.
Dang. All right. In terms of parties held in the United States, Halloween comes in at third. And do you want to guess what two other major events have more parties?
New Year's Eve and Christmas?
You got one with New Year's Eve.
St. Patrick's Day?
Ooh, that's a really solid guess, but it's actually the Super Bowl.
Oh, gosh. I guess I didn't think of that as like a holiday.
Yeah, it's, did I say holiday? Because maybe I did
Probably
say
not.
holiday.
I just assumed you did.
Okay. It was a little tricky and a little misleading. So, and then the last kind of little random one I have, a little bit of a Halloween theme. Do you know when the first feature length movie had a werewolf in it? What year it came out?
Oh, well, it wasn't the Wolfman. It was it like the 1920s?
A little bit too early. It was the 30s.
Yeah, was it like Werewolf of London or something like that?
Yes, it was.
Ah, yes.
You are on a roll.
I think I heard that from Cinemassacre Monster Madness.
Nice. Yeah, it was 1935. So, yeah, horror spooky films have been around, man, honestly, since almost the beginning of film, it seems like. Nosferatu and then Dracula and Frankenstein, and I mean, I know those.
Did it have Lon Chaney in it?
I'm not entirely sure.
No, it did not. I'm thinking Lon Chaney Jr. was in The Wolfman. Anyway.
Okay. So yeah, those were some quick ones I had. That brings us to the end of the main segment, unless you have anything else to add.
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, all right. We will go into our closing segments.
Thank you. It's showtime.
Yeah. Welcome to Suggestions. So we always bring some movie recommendations for you guys to check out. And I was thinking Halloween theme, but it's not exactly a Halloween movie, but it's kind of like murder mystery, which I feel like is, Halloween-esque. And so I'm actually going to take you back to the 70s. And this is I feel like there are definitely some things in this movie that would not fly today. Some styles of comedy in this, but it's, I would say, closely related to the comedy of the movie Clue.
Okay.
Did you ever see that movie?
I've seen bits and pieces of it.
Okay. So this one is called Murder by Death. And it's kind of like a very similar thing, scary mansion, somebody gets killed, they try to figure it out. And it's just a funny comedy, and they've got some cliches in there and everything. But yeah, it's definitely an older one. It's something different, and I'm pretty positive most of the people listening have not seen it. Actually, I would be very interested if any of you have seen this. Let us know, because I would be intrigued to know if any of you have. But yeah, I forgot to look up where it's streaming. Right now, where I'm looking at it, it says it's on Pluto TV for free.
Nice.
So I don't know if that's still the case, but if you're looking, you can maybe check it out there. So, and that is your recommendation for this week. And actually, it's not bad because this episode is running really long that we are actually going to scratch our quote face off because I did not prepare for it. So you guys can go ahead and blame me.
I can give a suggestion.
Okay.
I'll give a horror movie suggestion. And what it popped in my head that you'd probably enjoy is Night of the Creeps. Mm-hmm. It is from the 80s. It's kind of like a horror comedy. I don't know if I ever mentioned it before to you.
I think you may have.
It's from 1986, and it's got Tom Atkins in it, who was the main character in Halloween 3. He plays a police chief who is, back in the 50s, he comes across like this grisly murder scene. And he's like been affected by it his whole life after that. It was like his girlfriend that was murdered, so he's like got almost like PTSD, and he becomes like kind of like a drunk. But now he has to try and
win the game for the team in the fourth quarter, down by 7 points.
Exactly.
Nice.
No, he has to like save the town from like these these like brain dwelling slugs from space.
Oh yes, yep.
Yeah, there it is. Like enter into people's mouths and turn them into zombies, and once they're done feeding on their brain, they just like explode out of their face. And it's pretty crazy. There's some funny things in it. Jason Lively is like the main kid in it. He's Blake Lively's brother. He was also Rusty in European Vacation. He's got like a friend who is, I think he's got like polio or something like that. But he's really funny, and they've got like really good chemistry back and forth with each other, like ribbing on each other. If you're into like 80s horror and horror comedies, it's one of the best. And some of the typical kind of like 1950s style sci-fi horror movie feel to it as well.
Rock.
But yeah, really fun one.
Nice. Yeah, we'll have to get around to watching that at some point.
And where to find it, I'm not quite sure.
Right. It's out there, like the truth, somewhere. Okay, so yeah, there you go. That was a much longer than we expected discussion on Halloween, but it was a fun one. As a reminder, though, Friday the 13th. So Monday through Friday next week, new episode every day. Monday through Friday the following week, episode every day. And then the week after that, we will have 3 more episodes. So, I mean, we are blasting you guys with content this month. We have not released this much content in this short amount of time for anything.
Yeah.
And it was a long process.
Yeah, for sure. We've been doing it for quite a while.
Yeah, and so this is outside of two of the 12 movies. I had not seen 10 of these movies for Friday the 13th. So some different perspectives, that's for sure. They're pretty good. I mean, I'd probably say most of them fall between 35 to 45 minute episodes. So
around there.
it's a good discussion, and yeah, we go 1 through 12, and then the last one, the 13th one, the finale is just kind of a recap of the whole series, which is the last one we have to record. So
Rock.
don't miss out. Don't forget about Redbubble and Teespring for Rock.
TeePublic.
Shut up. TeePublic. I'm on a roll. For Rock Apparel or Rock Video Rental, look it up and you'll find us on there. Yeah, that is kind of the only way we have to support the show, which is actually kind of a fun one where if you buy a shirt, the show gets some money and you get a cool shirt.
Yeah.
And actually, that's kind of worth mentioning right now because it will not be in the next 12 episodes. But Brandon and I, to kind of celebrate this month, are going to do kind of a design competition where we both are going to design Camp Crystal Lake themed shirts.
Mm-hmm.
And then they will be on our sites for sale. So you guys can let us know which one you like. We'll probably put it out there on, our Facebook and Twitter and do voting and everything and see what people like. But both of them will be available for sale then. Because we had to be conscious about copyright issues.
Yeah.
So, did I miss anything?
I don't think so. You can find our stores in TeePublic and Redbubble as Rock Apparel.
Okay.
We had a wide variety of things out there, a lot of movie and TV based stuff, and then just designs for the podcast itself.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us. We hope you all have a great October coming up. Enjoy the fall weather, and then hope that we have good weather at the end of the month for all the activities and festivities. We'll finish off with Be Kind, Rewind.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Be in front of your TV sets for the Horathon. And remember the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween,